Hello lovely people, thanks for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about Young Dumb Honey Bun. Rachel Reacts. We're going to be talking about Rachel Reacts. Sorry, the similarities between these two is becoming very uncanny. But this video isn't about Young Dumb Honey Bun, it's about Rachel Reacts. Quick synopsis for those who don't know, Rachel Reacts has been involved with Amberlynn Reid's ex Tommy in a way that a lot of people are saying, this is inappropriate, please stop, none of this should have ever happened. She's going back on her word, she promised Emily money, she's not giving Emily the money, she was talking about giving the money to Beck, but then screenshots came out that she was only using Beck essentially as a pawn to please her audience instead of doing it for, the justice for DV victims. It gets really, really messy. And in my previous video, I said that there had been rumors of Rachel flirting with Emily to get these screenshots, but as we're gonna find out, she actually admits to flirting with Emily in her own words. So it's not alleged, it's not a rumor, she admits to doing it. And before we do get into all of that, I do just want to come out and say this entire situation has painted Rachel to be a manipulator. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, she, was being a little bit shady. No, you're being manipulative. This entire situation should not have happened. And her pursuit for screenshots, to me, it's really just a pursuit for money. And we're going to get into the debate on, is it ethical to flirt with people to make more money? And is it ethical to flirt with someone that you know has been in a relationship where someone passed away due to a fetish? But allegedly, but it's just gotten so convoluted. But I want to take a look at Rachel's response video just so we can hear things in her own words. So this video is 47 minutes long. I might have to cut out some bits here and there. But without further ado, let's get into this video and see what Rachel has to say. Okay, so this video is called Exposing Everything with Screenshots.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So today in this video, we are going to talk about everything. We're going to get it all out and everyone will know exactly what's happened and what's gone on. So here we go. The first thing I need to do is just mention my previous video, which was a glitter and lasers reaction. When I filmed that, all of this stuff that's happened over the last 24 hours-ish hadn't happened yet. So that's why I didn't address it in that video. And I absolutely acknowledge that it was quite tone deaf to post that video and then not say anything because it looked like I was trying to move along and not address the stuff, which is not what's happening. So I'm sorry to all of my audience who saw that video and was like, what the fuck, why are you not addressing this? That's what happened there, but I am addressing it now. So here.
In my opinion, I think that she posted the glitter and lasers video. I haven't watched it, but I think she posted that video because there's been a lot of hype around her channel. And she may have figured, well, since I have people kind of checking my page and it's a hot topic right now, let me just post this video before I address the situation so I can get views on that video. That's just my opinion.
Here we go. So my goal in this video is to basically just tell you everything I can possibly tell you. So the first thing I'm going to cover is the deleted video. I'm going to just touch on this for 2 seconds. Basically, I got a privacy strike, which I suspect was from Emily on this video here, which was my first ever Girl World video. There's pictures of Colleen, who is Amberlynn Reid's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, not sure. Emily, her deceased fiance. Colleen, there's pictures of her in that video, so that video got privacy striked. I think it was by Emily. I did not personally take that video down and I'm trying to get it back up, so just so everybody knows.
Maybe she shouldn't put that video back up. If it got removed and it had pictures of Emily's now deceased partner, I don't think you should put that video back up. Maybe just leave it where it's at.
Okay, the next thing we need to talk about is the Discord. There was a private Discord which consisted of a few people and all of us trusted each other very well and we were friends and we were all talking about Girl World related stuff. That Discord was a place where we chatted like mates. I'm sure you've all got mates. You run your mouth with your mates in a way that you wouldn't do on your public YouTube channel, but of course it got out and everything that you guys have seen has been seen. So as someone who is a part of a Discord group, the group that I'm in has nothing to do with YouTube. And the things that we talk about in that group, it's just talking about our daily lives. So I understand that maybe you share more personal information, but the people in my Discord group, I don't talk to them about my YouTube channel. They don't know what my YouTube channel is. And I do that specifically for their protection
and for my own protection, let me be honest here, because I don't want at any point, I don't want the people that I talk to ever, feel unsafe. I know that I cover some people on my channel that are controversial, that are a little bit unhinged. For example, Jessica, I talk about her quite frequently, and she's the type of person that's like threatening to send pig's blood to people's houses. I don't need that in my personal life. I keep my YouTube and my personal life separated because that's a boundary. That's why I find it weird that she is getting like so personal with other YouTubers to where there's, sensitive information floating around in these Discord groups. Even within that Discord group that I am a part of, there's nothing that I would say there that I wouldn't say to you guys directly. But you probably shouldn't be, if you feel like you can't say it with your chest, like I say this all the time, say it with your chest. If you feel like you can't say it publicly, don't say it privately. That's just how I feel about it.
Though, of course, as you guys all know, because you've all seen, somebody who was in that Discord has no fucking backbone.
Oof, did you see that? Hold on, let me rewind. I'm gonna go back a little bit.
You run your mouth with your mates in a way that you wouldn't do on your public YouTube channel, because you've all seen somebody who was in that Discord.
She is so irritated. Whoever did leak it, there have been speculation on who it could potentially be that has leaked it. I don't really care who it is. I'm more focused on what Rachel said within that group. But whoever it is, she is peeved. And I think she's like, when she gave that look to the camera, she's like, yeah, I'm talking to you. You know what you did. Look at this mess you caused. When in reality, Rachel, you caused a lot of this mess. But let's continue.
Has no fucking backbone, didn't want to tell me that they disagreed with my takes, and instead screenshotted a load of the Discord and sent those screenshots out. That person did not blur the face and name of some of the individuals in those screenshots who are not public figures, which I'm really angry about. They don't want their faces and names to be made public.
From my perspective, I think if you are in a Discord group, and this goes for public figures, this goes for private citizens, this goes for your everyday average Joe. If you have social media and you're saying things that you don't want to be associated with yourself, it's not a great idea to have your full name or your legal name or a picture of your face as your profile. You could call yourself Dr. Twinkletoes for all I care. I don't know. But it seems very weird that, these people that were in this Discord group are now a little bit like twiddling their and like, hear me out. I hope nothing happens to those people. I don't think they deserve to be like outed or dragged or anything like that. But this is just a lesson for like using the internet. If you want it to be private and you don't want it to get back to your personal life, don't put your face out there. Don't put your real name out there. It seems parasocial when you get so deep in the mud that now you have people that were maybe fans of you being afraid of having their personal information and things like that leaked.
It takes 2 seconds to blur somebody's face in a screenshot. So I think that's really fucking poor, to be honest, if I'm being honest about it. The person who shared the screenshots, it will get out who that person was, and you will all be very surprised.
Just say it. Just say it with your chest. Okay, so I said at the beginning of this recording, this video is titled Exposing Everything. Just say it. Just tell us who it was. And that's not even for me to be like, ooh, give me the tea, yum, 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 yum. Because sometimes I do like to get the tea a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But this is more so just like, it irritates me when people are like, you know who you are and you know what you did to me, blah, blah, blah. Just say it. I just find it irritating when people don't say things with their chest. Say what you mean. Say how you feel. Tell us everything. Give us the full picture, because maybe that would give us more context into why that person felt it was important to leak it. Some people are speculating about who it is. I don't care who it is. I care that she's beating around the bush and kind of pussyfooting around and just like not saying it.
One of the main things I need to address is the money. So a bunch of screenshots were shared, and it's me being very fucking cocky about how much money I've made doing Girl World content. So one of the main things that people have had a problem with is me making this joke about wiping my tears with banknotes. Jawbone, who is a public person, is in the Discord, and he says something about how he's watching Geordie, and Geordie is saying he thinks me offering to pay for receipts is a nothing burger, basically. And then I say, love that from Geordie. And then Jawbone says, so you're not really being publicly hung, drawn and quartered, rest easy, basically. And I say, if Geordie says it's all right, then I'm off the hook. I'll wipe my tears with banknotes. So that is what I said about that. The vibe that Jawbone and I have, I don't know if you guys have seen any of Jawbone's content, but he's a joker. He says things tongue-in-cheek to take the piss, and that is how I spoke back to him in this Discord. Beck was not relevant to the conversation. People are trying to make it.
Okay, so it's Jawbone's fault. Like, okay, I understand, you know, matching the energy of the people that you talk to in a conversation, and you know, if it's being a little bit casual and laid back and relaxed, I get that, but you're still being cocky about this. You see, Jawbone didn't say anything about how much money that Rachel made. Rachel was the one that brought that up. She's the one that's saying, I have so much money I can wipe my tears with it. Jawbone's just talking about, oh, you should be good in your community, you should be okay. Rachel's just like, even if it's not all right, I could still cry and wipe my tears with my money. Something that I find interesting is that she's showing the same screenshots we've all seen. We've seen these screenshots so many times on Reddit, across different channels. I was kind of expecting her to show screenshots that we haven't seen or provide more context to what is being said in these conversations. But she's, I feel like, kind of keeping things on a tight leash to where we can only see what has already been shown. Again, the title of this video is Exposing Everything. Show us the full context of this conversation.
It sound like somebody said to me, oh, are you going to give the money to Beck? And I said, oh no, I'd rather wipe my tears with banknotes or some sort of bullshit. That is not what happened. The part of the conversation that was relating to Beck was over an hour prior, which I'm going to show you in a second, and this banknote comment had absolutely nothing to do with Beck. I was talking about Geordie, who is also somebody who takes Girl World lightly and makes lots of jokes, particularly.
Okay, but you're not Geordie. Okay, you're not Geordie. You're not Jawbone. You're not Hecticana. You're not Karina Kaboom. Why do I know all these names? You're not Salty Crab. You're not Zachary Michael. You're Rachel. Okay? Man, I know way too many of these channels. But it doesn't matter if that's how other people take it. And it doesn't matter if you weren't talking about Beck in this instance. You're openly gloating to how much money you are making off of a story that you showed to your audience in the light of, this is about victims, this is about survivors, this is about DV, this is about getting the truth out. And you're just gloating in this private chat about how much money you've made. It's a huge joke behind the scenes, but that's the thing. You're two-faced. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You're two-faced because to your audience, you have this, I'm a philosopher and I'm so like compassionate and empathetic and, you know, I want to do the right thing. Behind the scenes, you're laughing it up with your friends. You're two-faced, and that I think is a huge issue. That's why people are feeling betrayed, because you portray yourself so differently behind the scenes.
About being paid lots of money by his viewers on their birthday and things like that. So the context around me saying this line was...
Okay, also, people giving Geordie super chats and giving him money because, you know, it's their birthday or they just want to celebrate something in their life or they had a little extra money to give to him, that is not the same. That's not the same as you generating revenue based on getting screenshots from someone that you manipulated. How are you even comparing those two things? They're completely different. Like I said in my previous video, Geordie has his own platform, his own community, his own way of handling things in Gorl world. Why is it, Rachel, that you keep talking about everybody else? I don't want to hear about anybody else. I want to hear about why you made these decisions, and also I want to hear, like, what are you gonna do to fix it in the future?
It was completely nothing to do with Beck. I understand the timing of it comes across as extremely insensitive. You'll see that I say at the end of that screenshot, I'll think about it, which I did then go on to do, and obviously I changed my mind.
She's been changing her mind a lot, and that's the thing, like, I think I find that also confusing because I think she is maybe struggling to do the right thing by her audience, like do right by your audience. But she keeps flip-flopping and changing her mind, when from the beginning I thought this was all about survivors.
I just really wanted to nip this like vicious lie in the bud that when I made this joke about wiping my tears with banknotes, it had absolutely nothing to do with Beck. Of course, the screenshots were shared with no context, which doesn't help because they were like,
She's talked for 8 minutes and she's only showed us the screenshots we've already all seen. So give us more context, show us everything.
like grabs of wider conversations. I mean, we would talk like all day about a certain thing. So one screenshot of one section of a conversation doesn't really help anyone to kind of understand where people were coming from. So the context is missing. No Girl World content creator who pulls any.
Also, I find this idea of, well, you don't know what made them say that, a little bit weird. I find that concept weird because it's like, no one made you say anything. You didn't have to participate in these conversations at all. I understand if like you're responding to somebody, but your response is still your own opinion, your own thoughts, and your own feelings. Nobody put these words in your mouth. These are things that you said yourself.
Number of views is only doing it for the love. People don't sit in their office and edit for like hours and hours and hours a day for just for fun. One of the reasons anyway is that they're doing it to make money. Now, and it's absolutely true that
yeah, that's true. People do this to make money. But the main reason I started my YouTube channel is because I liked to be creative. I like to create. I am a creator, and okay, let me put it this way. This YouTube channel, I think I started when I was about maybe 15 or 16 years old. At that age, I didn't even know that you could make money on YouTube. I just thought people were posting videos and I just thought that's what you did. Everybody was doing. I was like, this is so cool. This is so fun. Like I can show my animations. I can show my art. And then I kind of started watching other people's content and I got into the commentary scene. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. People can just talk about what they're interested in. I like doing commentary and talking about these certain niche topics is because in my personal life, I would maybe have a conversation about someone like Christian and they would have no idea who I'm talking about. And I was like, oh, I'm like deep in the rabbit hole. I have no one to talk about this stuff with in my personal life because, you know, it's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So the reason I started incorporating commentary into my YouTube channel is because I thought it was fascinating that we could talk about this crazy stuff that's happening on the internet and kind of get an idea of like, why are people like this? That's kind of like the main basis of my channel. Like, why are you like this? Why is this a thing? And then also, you know, you have the whole like train wreck quality to it as well of like, I can't believe this is happening. What, like, to me, I'm just like, well, how could you not talk about this type of stuff? Being monetized is just a plus. It's just a plus for me. And I am very grateful for it as well. The thing with being monetized is that the more my channel grows, the more I improve my content, the more I can talk about this stuff. So it's kind of just like this little loop. If you go back to some of my previous videos, like my very first Cyrex video, the audio quality on that, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I was still learning. I was still growing. But I've gotten to the point now where I hope things are a little bit more improved and we can have these conversations with each other and we could just kind of shoot the shit together and talk about the crazy things that happen on the internet. So I think this perspective of everybody is doing this for money, to a degree, yes, if someone is monetized on YouTube, I think that's just a bonus. But I don't think any of us go around gloating about how much we make on YouTube or, you know, I'm gonna do this with my money, I'm gonna wipe my tears with my money, haha. Like that's the thing that puts a bad taste in people's mouths. When you start being arrogant about your income on YouTube, when you start throwing it in people's faces or rubbing it in or bragging about it, that's not what YouTube should be about.
That is one of the reasons I make these videos. The person who revealed all of this stuff themselves also said the same thing. They, when they revealed these screenshots, said, it's going to be a good November for me. So that person also does it for the money and was super excited to get all of these screenshots.
So she's saying this person that revealed the screenshots, but earlier you said you weren't sure if that's the same person. So I don't know. It just seems a little bit fishy to me. What is this what makes you think that it's this person in particular? That's what I want to know. She seems very keen to throw other people under the bus when it's convenient. We're not talking about the other person. We're talking about you, Rachel, because you were the one that has been so focused on giving money or promising to give money, then withholding money, and then using money to manipulate people. And that's why we're focused on what you're doing and saying about all the money.
Which is exactly what I did when I got all of those screenshots from Emily. So just to point that out, the difference is that I absolutely ran my mouth in the Discord and was like, oh yeah, I've made loads of money talking about this.
Yes.
Now, I'm not ashamed of the fact that I've made profit. What's not fine is me saying a bunch of stuff like, oh, I'm going to wipe my tears with banknotes. The context of that conversation and all of those conversations were I was getting so much shit for offering Emily money to get tea out of her, tea or receipts out of her.
Rightfully so. You rightfully so got a lot of shit for that because it's unethical. It's manipulative.
And everybody was really, really mad at me. I was trying to make myself feel better about the situation, and I completely admit and accept it doesn't look good at all, and it's true. So I can't say anything about that. I absolutely said some very unfunny, uncouth jokes about how much profit I had made from this.
Are you gonna say sorry? You're saying a lot of words. 10 minutes in, can you just say, I'm sorry I did that? I don't think it's an apology video. I think it's more so just like, this is my side of the story, I guess. This really could have just been like a 5-minute video. This is a lot of talking. She's very long-winded. But let's see what else she's gonna say. I'm like, oh, we have a new screenshot, more context. No, it's the same screenshot. She just blurred out the faces of the people and the names, which that's neither here nor there. Good on you for protecting the people in your weird Discord group. But I thought there was going to be more context. No, it's still the same screenshots that we have seen. Like, when she says with screenshots, I'm like, girl, you are literally the alleged queen of finding screenshots and getting tea and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to you, you're just kind of recycling the same stuff we've seen over and over and over again.
My taxes, and it's absolutely true. I did say that stuff. So when I made my community post, all those top comments were people saying, give the money to Beck, give the money to Beck. And I was like, that feels icky, because if I'm taking money that I got by sharing somebody else's...
Okay, shouldn't it have felt icky from the beginning? Like, all of this is icky, but you're telling me that promising to give the money to Emily didn't feel icky? You're telling me that revoking that promise didn't feel icky? You're telling me that once you got caught, you changed your mind? That didn't feel icky? Like, there's all these little teeny tiny steps where she should have just stepped back and said, no, this isn't it. I'm talking with an alleged death feeder and getting tea from a death feeder about DV. That should have been all icky from the beginning. I don't understand why that didn't like click at a certain point. You don't think saying I can write it off of my taxes, haha, is icky? Like, there's so much. You don't think wiping your tears with your banknotes is icky? And she says, she said previously, oh, everybody was mad at me, so I was trying to make myself feel better. What about your audience? Did you ever think about how they felt? Did you ever think that maybe you are making us feel icky?
DV story, and then I give it to Beck? That just felt strange to me. It made me feel uncomfortable.
But then you ended up not giving it to Emily. You're saying, if I made money off of someone else's DV story and then I gave it to somebody else, you didn't give it to the person that you promised it to, which I don't think Emily deserves that money, but you broke a promise. And it's like, you're just being so wishy-washy on your decisions. Like, it makes you a very unreliable narrator in this entire story. It makes you a very untrustworthy person in general, because not only are you two-faced, you're wishy-washy.
I'm not going to fucking lie about that. At first, this is on the 23rd of October, when I was having this conversation, I was like, is Beck even going to want that money? Is that going to make Beck feel uncomfortable? Do I actually want to give money from one ex to a different ex? It all just felt a bit icky. I was very conscious. I was in the mud, and I was like, is this just flinging further mud?
I think it's more of like putting lipstick on a pig. This entire situation is beyond convoluted and complicated and all that type of stuff. But I also feel like giving money at this point from Rachel, as we could see, she is manipulative. I think it's performative. Okay, I really think it's all just performative. I think most people on YouTube or like public figures, when they get caught in a scandal or something that's, you know, unfavorable, and their go-to is, I'm gonna donate the proceeds to a charity that is affected by blah blah blah. I think it's very performative. Maybe the first couple hundred YouTubers that did that backtracking and they donated, maybe it was because they actually felt bad and they wanted to, I guess, maybe show that they are sorry. But now at this point in time in 2025, it feels like you're trying to save face. Why don't you go do community service? I think, honestly, I feel like that's what I want to see from YouTubers. Instead of saying you're going to donate money, go do community service. I think wiring money to someone from the comfort of your own home after you've made a mistake is a lot easier to do than like actually getting out there and putting your back into it just a little bit. That's just what I think. It's almost 2026. I want to see 2026 apologies with community service. You can still donate too. Don't get me wrong, you could still do that too. But I just think it's like this laundry list, like this checklist that people go down, that they think that people will forgive them or it'll absolve them from all the wrongdoings that they've done if they just donate the money, throw money at the problem. I'm a good person now, right? Because I gave money. I don't think that's how it works.
And I didn't want to do it. I felt really uncomfortable. You can see there's a message where I say it feels cleaner to give it to charity. That's what I'm referring to there. It just felt like I was getting even more entangled by giving the money to Beck. I reread all of you guys' comments and I was like, no, it actually does make sense for me to give this money to Beck. And the reason that it made sense, and this,
okay, you're saying the reason it makes sense. Whatever you're gonna say, put a pin in that, because you were just talking about giving it to Beck because it would be petty. It would be like a slap in the face.
this is why I changed my mind, and this is the main reason I changed my mind. I saw this comment. Somebody said, you mentioned Beck as one of your reasons for offering Emily money in the first place. And that is why you should give it to Beck, because you literally mention Beck in this post. And I was like, you're totally right. The point is that my goal was to kind of help the other exes and be like, guys, look, Beck's not the only one she owes money to.
Was that your goal initially? It doesn't seem like that was your goal. It seemed like your goal was to get screenshots, to get tea, to make a profit. And maybe in the long run, like at the end of everything, you wanted to give money back to somebody, but you initially promised it to Emily, but now you're promising it to Beck. And then you're saying that you're going to use it as a slap in the face to Amber and Emily, and it's very convoluted. Like this is a lot of word salad just to say that you got in over your head. Yeah, this is a long video. You could have just said, I got in over my head.
Of course I should give the money to Beck. And then Beck also made a further community post where they talk about their surgery and such. And I was like, oh yeah, ding, 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 light bulb moment. It makes complete perfect sense to give this money to Beck.
So was that the conclusion that you came to on your own? Or was it you using this comment as like, oh, that's a great escape route? Like you're using someone else's idea of what they said and using that as a way to get out of all of this. Because initially this didn't seem, I don't think your goals were to help Beck. And if anything, in the Discord screenshots that got leaked, you were talking about your audience wants to help Beck. I don't think it was you wanting to help Beck. It's your audience saying, hey, you should give this money to Beck. I don't think you came to that conclusion on your own.
I'll give it to Beck. That makes perfect sense. So in that screenshot that you've seen where I'm saying, oh, it feels kind of icky, I'm not sure about doing that, I don't think I want to, and also I mentioned the tax benefit of it all, that was before I had gone through that thought process. This individual to try and make me look as bad as possible when actually what happened was not like this at all. For example, this person's made this comment where they say, Beck, shares detailed updates about their devastating medical and financial situation. Rachel blames Beck for making a deal to pay thousands to an active death feeder who's publicly gifting food to dying addicts, and then implies that it'd be icky and unethical. So the timing of what happened there is completely wrong. I said that Beck could benefit from everybody knowing that Amber also abused financially another ex, which is absolutely true. But obviously,
the thing is that we know what happened with Beck. We know what happened with Destiny. We know what happened with Casey. You see, the thing is that Rachel, I think, wanted to get so deep and get so involved in the relationship dynamic between Emily and Amberlynn, but we already know that Amberlynn is not a great partner because her exes have already come out on their own platforms and they have talked extensively with their own screenshots and voice notes and background and everything like that. They've come forward with their stories. It's just weird that Emily is kind of using Rachel and Rachel is using Emily, and they're in this weird cahoots together. And then of course it's going to get worse because we're going to be talking about the entire flirting situation that comes up. I just really wish that Rachel would stop trying to be like the savior and the saint of Gorl world and trying to make it seem like she is the bringer of truth and honesty and shedding light on the situation and exposing things, when it's like, girl, we know. And then people have also brought up that certain things that Amberlynn does, we will find out eventually, because she tells on herself all the time. You didn't need to go to this extent, and like, it's just, I find it very weird that she's just using Beck as kind of like almost like a token in a sense. Like, yeah, I'm doing all of this for Beck, but I don't know if they want me to do that, and you know, they are going through all of this stuff, and it's just, leave Beck alone. I'm sorry, can we just leave Beck alone? Like, help them out if you want to, but other than that, stop putting Beck in your videos, stop putting them in your narrative, stop using them as like a token of leverage over Amber to expose a story because you are advocating for victims of Amberlynn. Like, to me, it's just, you're backpedaling and you're using Beck as kind of like a shield.
Obviously, when you lay it out like this, it sounds like that would be really awful if that's what happened, but that's absolutely not what happened. Those comments that you can see me make in the Discord where I'm not sure what to do were made before Beck made their post on their community tab. I had further conversations in that same Discord where I said, guys, I think this is what I'm going to do, but those screenshots weren't shown. So it's just kind of funny to me that...
Are you gonna share those screenshots? Maybe? Give us the full story, please. Everything, please.
Only bits that make me look really bad have been shown. There was all these parts of the Discord where you can see me being like, oh, I don't know what to do. Is this the right thing? I don't want to be a dick. So there was loads of that which never got shown. Only little bits that make me look really fucking bad were shown. With no fucking context. I landed on the right decision in the end. And the comment that I make about the tax break is absolutely true. If I had donated that money directly to a domestic violence charity in the UK, not only could I have gift aided the donation, so 25% would be added to it by the UK government, but I could also have written that off on my taxes. But that doesn't matter. What matters is doing the right thing with the money. But the point is that I absolutely did have that thought process. People are allowed to go through a thought process. They're allowed to spitball their ideas and thoughts off the people around them. What is not healthy is taking screenshots of that conversation, sharing them, and trying to spin a different point of view when you yourself don't know the context and haven't seen the wider conversation.
But you're not showing the wider conversation. She keeps saying like the screenshots make her look bad and everyone's trying to make her look bad. You haven't done anything to make yourself look good in this entire situation. And also, I find it really rich that she's saying, oh, my screenshots were taken out of context and, you know, you're only showing one side of the story. When, Rachel, you built your entire channel, you like the last 3 months have just been you sharing screenshots from other people. Need I remind you of the video that got removed where she was showing screenshots of Emily's alleged DV story that Emily was manipulated into sharing. It's like rules for thee, but not for me.
A final point on the Beck stuff as well is that I've reached out to Beck both on Instagram and on YouTube, and they have not replied to me. The money is going to Beck, which is the right decision. I stand by that decision. Now we're going to get into some of the other things. So number one is the flirting. Screenshots have been shared that show me saying that I flirted with Emily to get the tea.
Ew. Sorry, that's kind of gross. I couldn't imagine even entertaining the idea of being slightly romantic or flirty with someone like Emily. Knowing the things that Emily has been involved in and accused of, and just her relation to Amber in general, it's just like, this is another moment where I'm just like, why didn't you get the ick? Didn't you get like a gut feeling that, hey, this is going too far, this is wrong, this is weird?
And I did say that. The screenshots are real, as I've already said. And I think this is kind of funny, and I'm going to just touch on this now. So
It's not funny. It's gross. It's weird. It's manipulative.
Wanted the tea. I run a Girl World YouTube channel, so getting receipts and proof about one of the girls is super, super valuable to me. It's valuable monetarily, obviously, because I make profit off the videos. All of that stuff is super valuable. My goal is to analyze the girls the best way I possibly can. So in order to do that, I want to see the proof, and I'm not going to lie about that. I absolutely do.
But the thing is that you could have just waited for the proof. Or like, if you thought it was like necessary to have this information and to see this information, and the person was willing to share it to you of their own volition, that's okay. But when you start putting all these other contingencies into it, like, ooh, I'll flirt and I'll kind of string you along a little bit, and then I'll get some tea. Like, I don't think parasocial is the right word necessarily that I'm looking for here. You're using people. You used Emily. And regardless of if you think Emily is a good or bad person, that makes you look like a bad person automatically.
It is completely true that during my texting with Emily, I was much kinder to her than I might have otherwise been. I was much nicer. I was much more jokey. I sent some winky face. Actually, I don't even know if I sent winky faces, but I definitely was somewhat more amenable to her than I could have been because I wanted her to feel comfortable with me and give me all of the proof, right?
Imagine if a guy said that. You know how everyone talks about like the nice guy act? This is like a parallel that I'm drawing as like to illustrate my point. But he takes you out, he's super nice, he's super personable, he opens the door for you, he brings you flowers, he makes good conversation with you, and then he gets what he wants from you, and then there's this whole switch up and he completely changes, can't even get a text back. And so it's like, I'm not saying Rachel went that far. I don't think it was like extremely explicit. However, it's still manipulative. We're talking about flirting with an alleged death feeder to get screenshots. Let me give a little backstory. I have been watching Amberlynn Reid reaction content for many, many, many years. I've been here since like a little bit before Shrimpgate. Back when Eric and Ricky were in the picture, like that's around the time that I started watching and getting involved in learning about this content. So like I've been around the block. I've been through so many different controversies and ups and downs and stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of characters and reaction channels come and go. I have never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything this weird and this crazy. Like the closest we got was like the whole Erica drama where, you know, she was trolling Amberlynn but then fell in love with Amberlynn. But this is different. This is so much different because it's a reaction channel that's directly profiting from this, and they're inserting themselves so deep, so deep.
I don't think anybody is going to send somebody else like 150 screenshots, videos, various other stuff without you making them feel comfortable. So I describe that as flirting in the Discord, and I probably stand by that. I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that. I think flirting so that you can make more money is totally normal. People do it when they're bartending.
You're not bartending, okay? That's why a lot of people are looking at her so fucking weird, because you have channels like Zachary Michael or Michael B. Petty or Alex S. Shook, all that type of stuff, you know, all those different channels, and they never had to do any of that. Other reaction channels like Young Dumb Honey Bun and Charlie Gold and Karina Kaboom, I don't think they were ever like flirting with Amberlynn's exes. In this community, that's not something that is normal. And she's trying to normalize it by comparing it to other career paths, such as bartending or being a waitress or something like that. Which, let's be honest here, a lot of those people, their income is dependent on tips because they don't get paid a livable wage. And I don't want to get into all of that type of stuff. But Rachel, you're a YouTuber. You can make your money through super chats. You can make your money through memberships. You can make your money through selling merch. There's so many other things. Like you could start a Patreon and make more content. Like that's the thing. The more content you make, yes, the more money you can get out of it, but it still has to be good content. And also, I feel like maybe this sounds like pretentious a bit, but like if that content is not ethically sourced, like, ooh, farm grown organic tea, but if you're getting your content by means of manipulation, emotional manipulation, financial manipulation, it's sick. It's weird. All right. And then like, you know, her initial point was that, oh, Amberlynn is like financially controlling her partners. I'm like, you're financially manipulating people. You're kind of in the same basket as Amberlynn. Amberlynn has done some like really, really horrible stuff, but like you're getting so much closer. Every single time you post every day, like every day I see more stuff about this, you're getting closer and closer to Amberlynn territory.
Tenders, burlesque dancers, so many different professions. You'll be a bit nicer than you want to be to somebody because you're trying to get ahead in your career. This is one thing that I'm not gonna kind of recant on because I think that flirting with somebody is literally no big deal. I think that people having a huge problem with me flirting with somebody a tiny bit to get more information is like kind of weird. Like, why do you care who I flirted with?
Okay, so that's also like a slap in the face to her audience. Like, why do you care? Because Emily, sorry, I don't mean to yell. Because Emily is allegedly a death feeder. That's why people are upset. Why are you engaging with this person? It's weird. It's like socially unacceptable. And she's like saying, well, I don't think it's wrong. If you have a problem with it, go suck. If 100 people are saying, hey, this is really, really weird, and you're just gonna stand and dig your heels into the dirt and say, no, because I think it's normal, this is fine. Maybe, why do 100 people think that it's weird, but you don't? Because you're benefiting from it. Of course you're gonna try and justify it and normalize it because you're directly benefiting from it.
Now I understand the argument is that she's a death feeder and that's why I shouldn't have flirted with her. If you saw this alleged flirting, you'd be like, oh, because it was literally nothing.
Are you gonna show it though? Like she's doing like air quotes and rolling her eyes and saying alleged and blah, blah, blah. But she's not showing it. We're talking about like from a journalistic standpoint, which the way she presents herself, that's how she comes off in her videos. Like she is a trusted narrator. You are no longer a reliable source of information.
I just personally think that it's no big deal. If you feel that it's a huge deal, that's cool. That's your opinion, and you're genuinely within your rights to have that. And I support you having a different opinion from me, right? Because that's what life is all about. I'm not trying to be in an echo chamber, but I just want to say my view.
It seems like that Discord was a bit of an echo chamber, so I'm not sure how much she feels that she doesn't want to be, but of course you can say you don't want to be in an echo chamber, but it seems like once you get called out on it, you're dragging a lot of people around you. So
on my own actions in that situation is that me flirting with somebody to get more tea is really no big deal, and it happens in a multitude of jobs, and if you think it doesn't, you're objectively wrong. People have said all kinds of wild and
you're wrong, guys. If you disagree with me, you're objectively and factually wrong. I think the issue is that she doesn't talk about all the other professions where flirting to get ahead is inappropriate. It could be deemed as harassment. You could get fired. She's kind of picking and choosing these specific industries where it might be seen as a bit more appropriate, but there are far many more where it's deemed as inappropriate, wrong, and what's it called? Essentially like having a dual relationship. Like I know a lot of jobs, if you have a dual relationship, HR doesn't like that. And there's a reason, because it gets messy and it's drama and there's secrets and there's altercations and things like that. So for her to compare herself to, like, I guess a job that is not YouTube, she's really cherry picking here.
Hilarious things about me and Emily falling in love. I think a lot of that was said in Amber's live, which I'm going to react to probably in my next video, but it's absolutely not true. I have a hard line that I'm not talking about my girlfriend. That is nobody's business. I do not choose to monetize information about my girlfriend or make my girlfriend public. So it is a hard line for me that I will not be discussing my girlfriend, my relationship. But what I will say is that this
You see, it's interesting that she has a hard line for her girlfriend, which I respect that. I can get that. You don't want to drag your personal life into all this. But she didn't have that same respect for Colleen. When you have the video of Colleen and the screenshots of her and everything in your videos. But why are you talking about trying to re-upload that video for someone who is dead? Colleen is dead. And you're like, I'm going to try and get that video back up. Like, girl, come on, be so serious. As far as like flirting when you're in a relationship, all relationships have different boundaries and standards, and it's up to the people in that relationship to communicate what they are or are not comfortable with, and it's up to their partner to respect those boundaries. So I don't know how Rachel's girlfriend feels about this, but I would be really disgusted. It would just be weird. Like, hey baby, what'd you do today? Nothing. I just was flirting with this girl to get some tea and screenshots to put into a video to make money to share with people, but then I'm not going to actually give them the money. Like, do you see how that sounds? Like, it's too many different layers to this. I didn't know that Rachel was in a relationship. Honestly, I did not know, but it just makes it somehow even worse that she is. But hey, if her girlfriend is all right with it and they're fine with it, I don't want to speak on it too much. Just me personally, I would not like that.
Speculation that Emily and I fell in love or anything like that is absolutely laughable, and that is not what happened. But when I react to Amber's live, I think I'll talk more about that then, because I think she's the one who tried to kind of peddle that narrative. So we'll talk about that later. To make it clear, there's a little like awkward cut here because I moved the Beck section to be in line with the rest of the money section because the structure.
Oh my gosh, she talks so much.
I'm about to start talking about my decision to give the money to Emily. I personally think it's quite fucking boring. I'm going to show you them, and
you're right, Rachel. This is really boring. She gives a lot of like context that I feel like a lot of people don't care about. Like, I set this screenshot then at this date at this time when the moons were aligned on this path on this eon of this planetary system, and it's like, just get to the point. Just tell us what you are trying to say. Show the screenshots, talk about it, move on. Do it sequentially. I don't fucking know, but at this point my patience is wearing thin.
And you can do with them what you will. So here they are. This is the part of the conversation where I tell Emily that I'm not going to be giving her the money, basically. So this is the start of the conversation. Emily got annoyed at me and was like, why did you unfollow me? Which I didn't. It was kind of strange. By this point in time, she had changed her profile picture and stuff and deleted everything on her Instagram. So you can see in the right hand side screenshot, I thought that I had been blocked, so I didn't bother replying. But you can see here my reasoning for not giving her the money. So I say, I've been followed. I didn't unfollow you. I've been following you for over a year. I understand why you feel frustrated, but my worry is that I cannot trust that you won't go back and talk to Amber because you've done that before and I will look like a total mug for having defended you. I've showed your side of the story to basically everyone in Gorl, which has worked to your benefit. You threatened to go to reaction channels when you spoke with Amber, and now you've done it. Benefited you by getting your proof out there, which is what you wanted. I've put my reputation on the line to get the truth out because I wanted to support a DV victim. This has always been about getting the truth out via proof. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on the side of proving what really happened. That's what I've always said. And then Emily says, I understand. I know you don't trust my word, but I'm not going back to Amber. I'm not sure who is telling you I'm talking to her, but clearly they're trying to stir the pot. It was very obvious the two of them were talking again. And I was like, girl, I've literally made all these videos sharing your side of the story, and I've believed you when you've told me that you're this awful victim of this terrible abuse, and now here you are back in bed with Amber.
You know, maybe this is a controversial take or whatever, but let's say that hypothetically, allegedly, let's say, yeah, maybe Emily was a victim of Amberlynn. The thing is, when it comes to DV, in some instances where those people are out of the relationship and they're no longer in contact with the person that harmed them, sometimes they will end up back together with that person for whatever reason. And so for Rachel to be like, I'm an advocate for these people and I understand, I want to share their stories, You have to understand that at some points, DV and those relationships, it's not always cut and dry. It's not always, oh, they escaped and they're going to be free and they're fine and they're going to be safe and they're never going to go back to them. No, that's something that is very well known, is that sometimes those people end up back together. So for her to act a little bit confused and shocked, like we've all been saying, every time Emily and Amber would get into it, Emily would run to a reaction channel. Amber would start live streaming and crying, and they'd just keep ping-ponging back and forth with each other. So for this to be a reason that she changed her mind, I kind of find it a little bit of a cop-out, because we all expected them to at least have communications again in the future. In my personal opinion, I think they're still talking together now. Maybe not in the same capacity as before, but I think they still are in some type of a relationship.
Really disingenuous, and I was like, what the heck? Emily says, I'm putting this entire chapter of my life behind me. I've been hurt by her, which is hilarious because they're literally still talking now, which is just mad. And then Emily says, thank you for telling my side of the story. I truly do appreciate it. So that's proof there that she was grateful that I let her put her voice note in my video. She was pleased with the video. And then she asks me, are you still going to go through with your word split the AdSense with me? I'm going to assume you're ghosting me now. And I say, hey, sorry, I thought I was blocked. She then sent me this voice note where she claims that she's not the one who privacy struck Alex's shook, which I have no idea if that's true. Emily told me that she is not the one who's making the privacy complaints. This is my response, and this is where we are. So I say, no worries, I think you should make a public statement on your own platform to inform people that it wasn't you who made the privacy complaints. I think our communications have skewed my judgment and impartiality towards the situation, and I think it's best we stop speaking.
Exactly. They have been talking so much that I think Rachel has been having a hard time remaining objective. She's having a hard time staying true to herself as a content creator. I think when you are a content creator, you have to talk about things that you're passionate about, right? But you also shouldn't be getting this involved to where it's affecting the way that you talk about things.
And that's absolutely true. She was telling me all kinds of stuff about herself, about Amber, and it was getting very difficult to tell what was true and what wasn't true. And having her in my ear whilst I was trying to make content for you guys was just weird, and it felt uncomfortable. And when I say that it skewed my judgment and impartiality, what I meant was the fact that I wanted more tea from her meant that I couldn't be as critical about her as I wanted to, as I've already told you guys. So that's what I mean when I say that. And I say it's best we stop speaking. By the way, just to be clear, this is the last conversation Emily and I ever had. I say, while I understand this decision will be disappointing to you, I can't in good faith pay you for the video where I shared your story, because I heavily suspect that you had other motives for speaking to me besides getting your story out as a DV victim. I feel I've been a pawn in a bigger game between you and Amber, and that my good intentions have been somewhat used.
But you were using Emily. You're like, that's the thing. That's like, you're using Emily and you're using Beck, essentially. I feel like she's using Beck to make herself look good, and she used Emily to get money out of her, but then she's just not going to pay her. All right. Okay.
That's the reasoning that I gave her. I thought I was sharing her story, but actually that's not really what was going on. She was using me and my channel and my angle to try and attack Amber. She didn't actually want to get her story out, clearly, because she was still in fucking cahoots with Amber, which just pissed me off.
No, that's not the thing. Emily did want to get the story out. She did. She likes to do that to provoke Amber. They have this, whatever's going on between those two, it's like two kids like poking each other and saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching, like they just like to like jab. They send jabs at each other. That's what I'm trying to say. So I definitely think that Emily wanted to get the story out, and she wanted to talk shit about Amber and to talk about all the different things that Amber has done and the ways that she has wronged her. But she changes her mind when they're good again. That's the thing. They flip-flop. And just because you don't agree with that doesn't mean that you can flip-flop when you paid somebody or you promised to pay somebody.
Off because I was like, don't talk to me about how you're such a victim and you feel so awful, and then run back and have a chin wag with the person who did it to you. The whole thing just felt strange. So I say, in light of the recent developments, I know it would be a disappointment to my audience, and I can't be sure confirmation of any payment wouldn't end up getting back to Amber and then be used against me. I'm pleased we were able to show the proof to the audience, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to make a payment to you. Instead, I will make a donation to a violence charity. I have to safeguard my integrity with my audience. This is something I'm not willing to risk. Thank you for understanding, and I wish you all the best. Now that obviously, it makes me look like a total idiot. I knew that if you guys knew that I had paid Emily for this, that you would be so angry with me. Emily says, then I want the video taken down because it's done nothing but cause me problems. I'm not going to make a statement. I'm not posting anything to social media. I'm being harassed. People are calling my family. Everyone is talking about me, about reporting me now because Hector Kana posted about it, and now you're not staying true to your word. How would you like if someone did that to you? I feel like I've been used and exploited. I'm not talking to Amber. This is just your excuse to go back on your word. Unbelievable. So that she says she's being harassed and she wants the video taken down. When I posted the video, Emily was pleased with it. She was completely fine with the video when she thought she was being paid, and then when she realised she wasn't going to get paid, suddenly she blamed the video for her being harassed.
I'm sure Emily was probably getting harassed for a little while, but if you were getting paid and you got a little bit something positive out of it, maybe she would have been okay with putting up with that harassment. And that's why I think that it's manipulative on Rachel's part to promise her money, know that it's going to make things messy, and then revoke that promise and go back on it. Like, oh my gosh, this is making my head hurt.
Which is completely unfair. She says, you say you're sharing a victim's story, then turn around and not believe me after you make money off me, all while you're worried about your reputation. Come on, Rachel. She had no problem with anybody making any money, all the while she thought she was getting some of it. As soon as I said, sorry, it's not going to you, she clearly feels that she's been screwed over. And you guys...
Yes, because you're using her story. Yes, you are screwing her over. Whether you think she deserves it or not, you are screwing her over.
Know what happened. And I say, as stated prior, I feel a similar way. My intention was to share your story, which has been achieved. You receiving a payment from me will have no tangible effect to your complaints above, which I sympathise with, talking about her being harassed or whatever. The purpose of this was for you to clear up information and share your story, not to make a profit. I do not in any way support you being harassed, doxxed, or having your family contacted. I have not contributed towards or encouraged this behaviour. A donation of half the total AdSense of this video, less 19% for taxes, will be made to a domestic violence charity. I will not benefit financially from this decision. So, as I say, I was going to give it to charity. That's what I wanted to do, okay? Emily did not want that money to go to charity. No matter what Amber tells you, that is not the case. And you can see it here. Emily says, Rachel, I need to be very clear. I did not consent for my personal experience to be used for profit or public content without fair compensation. You agreed there will be a payment in connection with the video, and I participated in good faith under that understanding. Redirecting that payment elsewhere without my consent does not remove your obligation to compensate me. This video has... So I'll pause there for a second. So she doesn't want the money to go to charity. She wants the money and her side of the story to be used for content without compensation. That's not true. She gave me full consent to share the voice note prior to the misunderstanding which then followed, where we changed our agreement and I said, oh, it's fine, don't worry, we'll just split this upcoming video. But that upcoming video was already in motion and I already had consent, as I said in my community post. So she's trying to make it sound here like she only let me use the voice note because I agreed to pay her. That is not what happened. She was already letting me use the voice note, and then the agreement was moved to split the money from a finance video, and we said, oh, it's okay, we'll just split this upcoming video instead, which was already existing and I already had consent for that video. She then says this video has directly led to harassment and harm, including people contacting my family. That's not true. She was being contacted already. She thanked me for the video when I made it. As soon as she realised she's not getting paid, she's mad about it. She says it has not been beneficial to telling my story, which is not true because I literally played a voice note of her voice. So if that's not sharing her story, I literally don't know what is. She says you just acknowledged that used my story, generated AdSense income, and that I've asked for it to be taken down. Continuing to keep it public while refusing payment is both unethical and a misuse of my story. Then I say,
I hate to say it, but I agree with Emily. Listen, I don't like Emily. I don't really condone the things that she does, but regardless of how things keep switching back and forth and what video they plan to have the AdSense run on or, to split, if someone is telling you, hey, I'm being harassed, I don't like this anymore, you promised to pay me, you're not, I feel like I'm being used and manipulated. I feel like this is unethical. You're going back on your word. And Rachel's kind of just like, sucks to suck. Sorry. I got what I needed out of you. It reminds you of that Toy Story clip where it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Rachel got what she needed out of Emily. At the end of the day, Rachel is still going to get her half of the AdSense money. She's still going to get her coin. She's still going to get her money from it. So however other people feel afterwards, I don't think she really cares too much. I think now she's just going to try and play into placating her audience so that she still has some type of subscriber count at the end of all this to where she can continue upload and continue posting and kind of get away with this. Maybe until the next controversy, because if she thinks that these things are appropriate, I don't see her lasting much longer until there is yet another controversy.
I reply shortly, I'm just about to go into blank and can't reply for a few hours. I'm not ignoring you and I will send a reply. If these screenshots get shared by another party and that word is not blanked out, I am going to be absolutely fucking livid, because that covered up word there is a very private, very personal thing that I do in my spare time. And if that gets out because some person doesn't know how to edit a screenshot, I am going to be, or how to respect somebody else's genuinely private matters that have got nothing to do with the internet, I will be absolutely livid. And so I just hope that whoever...
Well, now I kind of want to know what it is. Is that messy of me? Kind of like, listen, I hope that if it is something that's really private and important and personal to her, like, I hope it doesn't get leaked. But I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be sending Emily this stuff if you think it's that private and that personal. And like, if it gets leaked, then your world's gonna come crumbling down, or you're gonna be, I don't know, angry or embarrassed, or I don't know. That's why you shouldn't have gotten this deep into these conversations and these relationships with these people. If you can't trust them to not leak this stuff, don't say it. Don't send it.
Shares these screenshots if they've got, because I know they're out there. If you don't cover up that word, you're just a fucking loser. Emily says, I'll be waiting for your response. And then I come out and I say this: Hi Emily, I've genuinely been considering your request, which is true. However, I believe taking down this video will open you up to further unwanted discussion and speculation.
All right, guys. Sorry, I just have to interrupt here because I got called in for a shift at my job. So I'm going to be clocking back into the Gorl World Factory. So if there is a disconnect in the points I was making previously, I just want you guys to know that that is the reason why, you know, there might be a tone shift or maybe a redirect in the conversation towards a different topic, but we're going to pick back up where we left off, starting now.
Let's just leave it now. Let's not private the video. But she wanted it privated. I say, I think it would be best for this money to go to DV, benefit from it. If you still have concerns about the video being public, I'm sure YouTube has a process you can follow. Rest assured, the aforementioned donation will still be made. So that's me basically saying to her, if you want the video down, you can privacy strike it. She then says, Rachel, I need to be very clear about how wrong this is. I shared my personal story and details with you under the agreement that I would be compensated. So that is not true. Then she says, that was part of the understanding from the start. Again, not true. You assured me multiple times that I would be. I also made it clear that without that agreement, it would not be worth it for me to share something so personal and painful. That's just completely not true. You went forward, used my story publicly, then decided after the video was posted to take that agreement back. That is not acceptable. You shared private information about me under a false sense of trust and benefit. This is not about speculation or donations. It's about ethics and respect. You profited from my vulnerability and are now trying to frame it as something else. I'm asking you to take accountability and make this right. Her trying to say that this whole thing was me profiting from her vulnerability, I think is kind of wild because
I don't think that's very wild, because that's exactly what happened. Like I said, regardless of who Rachel decides to donate the other half of the proceeds to, she's still keeping some of this money from her for herself. And then in the future, you know, I'm sure Rachel has lost some subscribers during this time, but she's also has gained other people into her community. So with all the drama and the tea and the screenshots and receipts that she was getting from Emily, she did profit.
She's the one who wanted all of this stuff out there. That's why people speak to reaction channels, right? They want to get things out. So saying I profited from her vulnerability, I don't feel that that is an accurate characterization.
Also, Rachel, you wanted to get this all out there. You were saying that the most important thing to you and to reaction channels is getting the tea. So you wanted this story out there, I'm sure, just as much as Emily did.
Of what happened there. And then we get into the fabulous thinly veiled threats. It's clear you're worried about how this might affect your image and reputation if people found out you paid me, but what would actually look worse than agreeing to pay me and then backing out after the video was already posted, all while profiting off it yourself? It doesn't really matter which one looks worse. Paying her was worse, so I didn't do it. And then she says, I'm not looking to make this public. I've kept everything private and respectful with you, but I trusted you to handle this with honesty and integrity, and you have not. You promised compensation for my time and vulnerability. You used my story publicly. You can still make this right quietly and respectfully. So that, I feel, is her basically trying to say, I'm not trying to make this public, let's keep it quiet. And I felt anyway when I read that message, that was her almost threatening to go public with this. And her saying here, you promised compensation for my time and vulnerability.
And that's the reason that I think that's the only reason that Rachel came out with her post, is because she felt threatened. She essentially tried to get ahead of the game. Even with coming out, she still looks pretty bad. The Discord chats look pretty bad, which, you know, I actually noticed that there are some more Discord leaks that came through. We could talk about those a little bit later, but I'm just trying to keep everything in order.
That's not true. I promised compensation for receipts relating to Amber owing Emily money, and then after the fact, I changed my mind and agreed that instead of splitting money on that video, we could just split the money on the upcoming video, which, as I've said, was already in motion, already planned, already scripted. So it's absolutely not true that I promised compensation for time and vulnerability. That's not what happened. I don't feel that's what happened. I then say, thank you so much for your response. I'd like to note that I disagree with your characterization of the timing and nature of the agreement. That's what I'm talking about when I say that. Nevertheless, I appreciate you giving me an understanding of your viewpoint on the above message. I then say, please grant me a period of time to think about this situation and decide which action is most suitable. As I've stated, my fear is that your motivations for getting me to make that video were to express a power play over Amberlynn, with whom I believe you're still in regular contact, which they absolutely were still in contact. And I say, I'm not comfortable being a pawn in the mind games between the pair of you, nor am I comfortable financially compensating you for the same. I would be far more comfortable donating this money to a good cause. I see that this option is not acceptable to you, which was me trying to dig her out and be like, girl, just let the money go to charity, but she was not okay with that. I then explain, money's accrued in October 2025, are paid by YouTube in November, so there is no rush for a decision. Thank you for your patience, I'll be back in contact in due course. So it's me basically saying, just fucking let us give the money to charity. And then she says, I don't agree with that. What exactly do you mean by characterization of the timing and nature of the agreement? I've already told you guys what I meant by that. The agreement was made before the video was uploaded, and you confirmed that more than once. The video would not have gone live without that understanding. She says, bringing up your own assumptions about my motivations or other people is irrelevant and dismissive. You're basing this off of rumours and no credible sources. That's not true. I knew for a fact that she and Amber were speaking. And then she says, you do not need more time to think about what is right. You made an agreement and you have an obligation to honour it.
Okay, so this is where things get complicated, because there are some people saying, I don't want the money to go to Emily, she doesn't deserve it, yada yada yada. But at this point, Rachel has gotten so involved. Like, I think in either way that she would have gone about this would have looked bad. But I think the way that she's handling it now isn't solving the problem at hand. I think she should have just, once this all came out, apologize. And, you know, when more and more stuff comes out, apologize for that stuff too. I feel like this entire video, sorry guys, I'm tired from work, so like my brain's kind of mush right now, but this entire video is just so many words and screenshots that we've already seen, and then now we're going in these other screenshots which I think might be on Instagram, and she's given us all these dates and all these other people, and it's muddying the waters. It's essentially just, maybe if I just talk a lot, people would get bored and stop watching and they'll just believe my side. Because that's where I'm at. Like, I'm kind of finding this tedious, like this going back and forth and trying to justify your side and why you changed your mind and all these different things. It seems just really fucking tedious. Oh my gosh. It's kind of just, this is a big pile of nothing. I kind of thought about like maybe dipping out of this video and just doing like a quick summary, but we're 39 minutes into 47 minutes. So we're just going to knock it out and try and come to a conclusion and see what's going on.
I expect payment as promised, or confirmation that the video will be removed. Changing the terms after profiting from my story is not a misunderstanding, it's unethical. I have kept this private out of respect for you, but continuing to deny what was agreed only damages your own credibility. She's saying to me, do one of my two options and I will continue to keep this private. And she gave those two options. There was absolutely no way that I was going to pay her, so I therefore took the video down. So I privated the video, screenshotted that, circled the private logo, and wrote, you're mischaracterizing the agreement to try and make me look worse than I am. We both know you had given consent for that voice note to be shared before any money was confirmed. At the time, I thought I was agreeing to split money on a finance video with you to help you recuperate lost money from Amber never paying you back, which is the reason that I gave her. But actually, it's because I wanted the fucking tea on Amber being a scumbag when it comes to money. And I say it then became clear that there was a misunderstanding, at which point I changed my mind and agreed to split this video. And if Emily wants to go there, I've got proof of all of that, but I'm not going to put myself on blast for no reason, but I can prove that if I need to. And then I say, but the consent for the voice note had already been given. Let's leave this here now. The money will still be donated to a domestic violence charity. I then blocked her, and that is the last thing I have ever said to her. So there it is. That's what was said between she and I. If you are angry with me for the things I've said, I understand. I know that these screenshots are going to be discussed and picked apart by people. That's completely fine, but that's what happened, right? That's my point of view. It's pretty clear that somebody who was in that initial Discord basically was mad at me because I said that I didn't like other content creators or I thought their content wasn't very good. And, you know, we're all allowed opinions, right? That's what.
Yes, you are allowed those opinions. You don't have to like every reaction channel that's out there. I get that. But when you kind of get into this clique and you start talking negatively about other people's content when you are doing some pretty shady stuff yourself. It's like, what's the saying? Don't throw stones in glass houses. Because I think there's a difference in criticism between, oh, maybe this person, you know, they don't have the best audio, or, you know, they are covering the same topic and it's not that interesting, or I don't find them to be an engaging creator. That's different than the things that you have done, Rachel. And also, you are being mean about it. It's not like you're giving constructive criticism or anything like that. You're just saying, oh, this person is a twat. When she has this clique that's almost in a sense like hyping her up and like feeding her ego, that becomes an echo chamber. And if those people aren't in the Discord group, what's the point of talking about them? People don't want unsolicited advice. They don't want your criticism. They don't want to hear what Rachel has to say about them. Now, if it's within that Discord group, and that Discord group is, for what you said, sharing feedback with each other, that's fine. But it seems like you guys are just talking shit about a lot of different people. And listen, I get Gorl is messy, but it's just, I don't know. I just find it weird to have a Discord group to talk shit about people.
That's what the internet's here for. If I think somebody's content is mid and I say it, that's what I said. That's my opinion. And there you go. I'm not going to backtrack on my opinion just because you guys have all seen me say it, right? I think that this has shown that certain people take Girl World very, very, very personally. To me, that's not what this is. This isn't personal. This is something I do that makes me money. And also it's something I find very interesting. If someone
So that's the thing, when you say like you're reporting on this like a journalist and all that type of stuff, you're no longer credible in this space. The way that Rachel presents herself, you know, especially when she talks about her philosophy degree or whatever type of certifications that she has, she presented herself as, I am educated. I'm serving you this content under the perspective of someone who is smart and intelligent. But maybe you should have presented your channel as, yeah, I'm just shooting the shit. Maybe people would have taken this a lot less seriously if you didn't present everything so seriously on your channel. And I think that's why when Jordy says something like, I don't really care about this doesn't affect me, yada, 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 I think it's because his audience has the expectation that he doesn't take this stuff very seriously. He likes to he ha-has, they kiki, they do their thing, they talk shit over there. But when you present yourself as a little bit more of a serious toned channel, of course people are going to see you differently when you aren't taking it that seriously and you are making jokes and you are being snarky in the Discord.
someone doesn't like my content, that's completely fine. We're all allowed to have opinions, right? I don't think we need to be attacking other creators and sharing the faces, names and voices of private individuals during that process. But if that's what you want to do, you do you. I personally think it's a little bit strange.
But you see, that's the thing. You attacked other creators. What are you talking about? In the screenshots, you're talking about Charlie Gold. You're attacking Salty Crab. So this is kind of hypocritical. But when it's about Rachel and her feelings get hurt, then we shouldn't do that, guys. That's not nice, guys. Don't put their faces out there.
I've seen the people in this creator's Discord. They're all circle jerking and laughing and talking with each other, and it's hilarious because they don't even know how to read a date. And
girl, you're talking about other people circle jerking? Are you serious? Wow. I don't know the dynamic that you have with Jawbone, but he seemed like he was kind of riding your coattails a little bit. I've never watched a Jawbone video. I didn't even know who he was or anything about his channel or their channel. I don't know who they are or their pronouns, but you're talking about circle jerking. It seemed like he was kind of like hyping you up and like, oh, you're fine, Rachel. Everything you do is good and fine. You're okay. You're great. It was a mistake. So she's talking about other people circle jerking in Discords. I'm like, what do you think that you were doing in your little echo chamber as well? I don't know. Let's keep going. We're almost done. We're almost through this, guys. If you are still here during this part of the video, I really appreciate it. I hope that whatever you're doing while you're listening to this video or if you're watching this video, I hope that you are enjoying the ride. I'm getting a little bit antsy, so let's just run through it.
And they're all excited and there's loads of like moral grandstanding going on, and they're all really excited and happy and talking with their Discord buddies about the tea that they've gotten.
Girl, let's not talk about moral grandstanding when your entire channel is picking apart stuff that Amberlynn does. Rightfully so, because Amberlynn does some really shady shit, but you know, you're talking about moral grandstanding. That's kind of what Gore World is. It's like, hey, this person did something weird, let's talk about it. This person did something stupid, let's talk about it. I think you just don't like it because now you're the one that's in the hot seat. And I'm sure that's not fun. I'm sure it's uncomfortable, but it's to be expected, especially when you fuck up this badly. Everything that you did seemed calculated, But then when it backfired, because, you weren't really a great judge of Emily's character, when everything backfired, now it's just, I don't know. I forgot what I was trying to say on that point. My brain just went, let's just keep going.
About me, when in fact they didn't actually get very much tea at all, and I just think that's kind of funny. The final thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit now about just my channel, my content, talk to you guys as my viewers. So when this channel started, I started talking about Girl World, I started getting views, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, I was literally like, this is crazy, people are watching me, I'm being paid for this, and I had no idea how to handle it, and that is just the complete truth.
That's understandable, but from the beginning, I think if you go into YouTube, you always have to know, whether you're a small channel just starting out or you've been doing this for a while, don't let it go to your head. Don't take it so seriously that you're getting into these weird interpersonal relationships with other content creators. Like I said, YouTube, it's fun to do. It's genuinely a fun thing to do, to talk with people and to get their perspectives and to just see people from all different walks of life coming together and forming a community. It's an awesome thing. But don't get a big head about it. Don't become like this authority on a subject, and then when people call you out because you messed up, then it's just like, I don't know how we got here.
I was trying to be myself, but I was also very scared. I was like, I don't want people to dislike me. I don't want people to hate me. And I cared a lot what people thought about me. I absolutely did. And I was trying to be myself and be real, because I'm a very direct person. I say what I think. I'm comfortable making people feel uncomfortable if necessary. I'm not shy. If I say something, I generally stand by it. If I'm wrong, I put my hands up and say, I was wrong about that. I love when people disagree with me. One of the biggest markers of me knowing that somebody is a real friend of mine is that they will say to me, you're wrong about that. And I'll be like,
are you sure you like when people disagree about things that you do? Because you're talking about the other group that was essentially circle jerking themselves and talking about you. And that seemed like it kind of got on your nerves a little bit. Which, don't get me wrong, that would get on my nerves. That's a little bit annoying, maybe a little bit hurtful. I call those boo-boo feelings. You get a little bit of boo-boo feelings when someone does something like that. But I generally just don't think that, I kind of just don't think that she was cut out for how fast her channel grew. And normally I would say, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people get a little bit cocky, yada yada. But now she's involving other people. Like, she's actively manipulating and hurting other people. And that's not okay.
Like, oh geez, am I? And that's one thing about my degree, is when you study philosophy, you realise that if you live in an echo chamber where you don't take in any new information, you're never willing to consider changing your mind because you don't get any new information, right? That's one thing that I don't do as a person. I genuinely don't. If you want to give me information, I will listen, because I think the more I get...
Okay. I don't mean to dismiss her education and the work that she put into learning in school, but I feel like there's a huge difference between studying a topic and reading about a topic and, going through coursework and education and all that type of stuff. I think there's a difference between that and actual real life hands-on experience dealing with those situations. I don't know. Like I said, guys, I went to school for graphic design. I went to school for art. So I don't really know too much about those different topics, but I definitely feel like there's a difference between being knowledgeable about something and actually having the wisdom to act on it and execute it. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I can then weigh it up and decide what to do with it. And sure, some of my weighing up in this situation might have been a little bit skewed, but at all points during this process, I was trying to do my best. I genuinely was. And I was trying to do it whilst also put myself publicly on a big public platform where thousands of people were watching me for the first time ever. And I fumbled it. I fumbled a lot of things in this situation. And one thing I really want to say to you guys, my viewers, people who are bothering to watch this video, you've watched the whole way through, you're at 1 hour 20 something now, maybe, probably cut a lot out, but you're watching me, right? And this is who I am. I just want to say to you guys, I've tried my best to handle this channel the best way I could, but I have absolutely made so many mistakes and I've learned from them. And I'm not going to be scared off the internet. I'm not going to stop making content. I'm not going to stop covering the girls. So I'm not going to stop just because I fucked up, but I'm absolutely going to say, I fucked up, here's what happened. And if you guys go through this situation, you see everything I've said in this video and whatever else, you weigh up what I've shown you, what you've seen, what I've done, and all of that. If you come to the conclusion then that you don't think my coverage of Girl World is valuable
Okay, I thought she was gonna say during this entire little spiel, instead of saying I'm fucked up, I thought she was gonna say I'm sorry or I apologize. Maybe that's still coming. Maybe she might feel that way. We'll see.
To you, or you don't like it, you just don't like me, you don't want to watch it, whatever. That's genuinely completely fine. My goal now is just to be like, this is what I think. Here we are. And if you don't like it and you don't agree, let me know in the comments by all means and we can talk about it. But the one thing I will say and what I will add is I chose this life, right? I chose to insert myself into Girl World. I purposefully inserted myself into this community, and Girl World gets a bad reputation on the internet. People who don't cover it make one video about Girl World and their comments are full of people being like, oh my god, don't do it, you know, don't get into it, it's a total mess. I don't agree. I like Girl World. I enjoy the debate and the discussion, and I know that people in this community, the way this community works is people talk about each other. That's what we do. That's how Girl World works. So
Yes, okay. Everything she's saying here is 100% true. Yes, you inserted yourself into the community by making videos about it, but the fundamental issue here is that you started inserting yourself into their personal lives. That's the issue. Like, it would have been fine if you just, I don't know, maybe saw Reddit posts or saw other people covering a certain topic, or you watched a live stream and you clipped it and you reacted to it. Those are the things that most people in this community do. But you went to the extent to like do all these weird DMs, and like I could see if maybe it was like they kept reaching out to you over and over and over and over again, and then like maybe you blocked them and then you talked about it in a video and like, hey, like, you know what Zachary Michael has done in the past, where it's like, yeah, this person said this to me, this was my response, I felt uncomfortable, so I just kept it pushing. You did the opposite. You were just like, how much farther, how much deeper can I get into this, to where we're talking about money, exchanging hands, and using Beck as a pawn, in my opinion, flirting, even though you have a girlfriend. And it's just not what, this is not the Gorl world that I knew. This is not the Gorl world I grew up on, guy. Like, I probably sound like such a boomer saying that. Like, just take it back to the good old days. I miss the good old days of Zachary Michael just shooting the shit with the divas, okay? This is not fun anymore. I've watched from the outside for so long. I don't think I want to be a Gorl world channel. I like to talk about a lot of other stuff as well. I just like to pop my head in every now and again. And when I did pop my head in, this is the mess that's been going down. But let's wrap it up, and then we'll do the outro and all that stuff.
So I made this YouTube channel with my full government face, you know, my name, my face. Here I am giving my opinion. I chose this, right? I'm fine with people talking about whatever they want, because that's what Girl World is.
Well, I don't think you are fine about that. And that screenshot you were talking about before, where they're like, if you unscribble that thing that I blurred out and you shared that, you are a horrible loser. Like, okay, like, maybe don't put that out there. Maybe keep some of your personal life personal and separate from Gorl world, from the internet in general.
If I didn't want to do it and I didn't want to be a part of it, and I didn't want people talking about my face, my name, whatever, if I didn't want people talking about me and my takes and what I've done, whatever, in their own communities, then I could just stop making videos. So I'm never going to be angry and butthurt at people, at you, for talking about me in your communities, because that's what I do. I talk about people in my community, right? And I'm comfortable and fine with that discourse, because that's what Girl World is. And that's why I've made this video, because I actually think the best way to handle this situation is just be like, there you go, that's what happened. And then you can go talk about it if you indeed want to. I'm going to continue trying my absolute best to apply everything that I've learned from this situation to the...
What did you learn? What did you learn? Sorry. What did you learn? That's the thing. Like, I don't know. It's just giving, it's not really an apology. It's more so like a blanket statement. But I don't like when you can't say specifically what you should not have done. Say that I should have never talked to Emily privately in the first place. I should have never talked shit about other reaction channels in the first place. I should not be offering money to people. Maybe she'll tell, what did you learn, Rachel? I'm not trying to say this as like condescendingly, but I genuinely don't know if you got the point.
The future, and we'll just have to see what happens, right? But I'm not going to stop making my content, and we'll just have to see how you guys take it. So I think some more stuff is probably going to come out. I don't know who's going to release what, I don't know who's going to say what, but we'll just have to see. But what I am probably going to do is watch Amber's live stream with you guys, because I know she says a lot of stuff about me, and I think it might be quite funny for us to cover that. So that's what we're going to do next. Thank you all for listening to what I have to say, and yeah, we'll see what happens now. No idea how it's going to go down, but we'll see. I think I'll leave it there. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Well, that was the end of that. Before I do end this video, there have been some more screenshots that have been released. I'm on the Gorl World Files Reddit page. I'm going to read them out for you. This was, let me go back just to verify. This was posted 17 hours ago on Reddit. So these are some new leaks that I haven't seen, so let's just read them out. Rachel says, I've always thought Charlie Gold is a twat. Also, Emily would probably have never told anyone. She might have, but the stuff I know about her and the voice notes, etc. I have from her, she would have been very, very stupid to have told anyone about this. So she probably would never have. People are also forgetting I could have just paid her and it would also probably never have gotten out. Also, and I know this is petty, but I make videos to make money, and none of these creators do it for any other reason, I'm sure. And if we compare Charlie's views to mine, I'm doing something right. Laughing face. I think that's really a really poor take. A lot of us don't do this for money. We do it because we love it. Like, I don't know. At least that's why I do it. The money is just like a bonus point. If the only reason you react or give commentary or are a YouTuber in general for money, once you get into that mindset, I don't understand how it could be enjoyable at all. Hecticana says, yeah, the people up in arms about it are either naive or stupid if they think we don't make videos for money. Gosh, these two are really just, I don't know, something about Hecticana generally does rub me the wrong way. He reminds me, oh shit, hold on. This is literally something about Hecticana gives me this guy's vibes. And it's not even just like the face and like the way he appears. It's something about the way he speaks and behaves. There's something about him that just gives me that vibe. Tell me I'm crazy. Please tell me, am I making this up? Oops, you guys can see my browser history. Oopsie. How many minutes to pan fry pork chops? I was trying to figure out how to fry pork chops, guys. They did not turn out good. I messed them up. But anyways, yeah, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. But you're telling me that these two men don't give you the same vibe? Something about, and it's not just the way they look. It's the energy, guys. It's the energy that Hecticana gives off. But that's enough of that. That's one of those like me just having a gut feeling type of things. But a gut feeling I don't think is scientific, so we're not going to dive too deep into that. Anyways, Rachel says, if you offered them the amount of money I've made off this, they would all do way worse things than offer someone money and change their mind. Also, they mainly all mad because she's a feeder and that stopped looking as likely as I thought. So hilarious how they think they know everything. This doesn't seem like someone that wants to be criticized. It's just really snarky. This person, I can't read their username. She says, let them think what they like. Spend your evening sipping from bottles of Tatty Bowl, surrounded by people who care about you. Smiley face. As you say, plenty of people have done less ethical things than pay a source in the pursuit of money. Those who haven't, it's often for the lack of opportunity to, rather than morality. I like snowflake method, Rachel. Happy face. Blah, blah, blah. She's saying going full Mr. Snowflake mode. You're telling me this isn't a circle jerk? I get paid whether they hate me or love me. Ha 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 ha. As long as they watch you, it's all profit. Well, this little group loves you, if that helps. You're telling me that this isn't like a circle jerk? I don't know. It seems like they're all kind of, I don't want to say like eating her ass because that's kind of vulgar, but it seems like they're all, what am I looking for? Oh, it just seems like they're all kissing up to her a lot, which, you know, if you're in this group and like you guys are saying that you're friends and like you're really social, I don't know. The energy seems a little bit fake. Then here she is again, criticizing Charlie Gold's video. She says, I just watched Charlie Gold's FFG video, well, part of it. Rachel says, she's so mid. Like, sorry, but her content is so mid. Ha, I knew I liked you, says Del Quesadilla. Rachel says, she came for me, so I automatically dislike her. But I thought you were open to hearing other people, like, talk about you and stuff. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like you enjoy it. Del Quesadilla says, oh? Question mark. Rachel says, but if I was making that swill, I'd hate me too. She made a video about the Emily shit and was like, maybe you shouldn't have done it. No shit, Sherlock. It hardly needed a video. Del Quesadilla says, oh, I know she's jealous of the views. Rachel says, it's been a good week, not gonna lie. She's like, I'm open to the criticism. I want to hear what people have to say. You know, if they do talk about me, that's cool. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. But in these screenshots, she's like, no, you didn't need to make a video about that. No one wants to hear about that. So are you open to it or not? Actually, Khan's talking about he's going to make a video about Rachel. He says, at Rachel, I'm going to make a video about this. And I'm going to say I'm disappointed that you offered to pay. But I'm also going to point out that I don't know what I would do if it were me. Because honestly, I'm not sure how I could have resisted knowing how big the story would be. So I'm not going to be mean or anything. Rachel says, ha ha ha. Jawbone says, how could you? I don't have an issue with Hecticana making a video about Rachel, but, you know, is he going to be able to be objective about it since they seem to be close friends? And here they are talking about Obese to Beast. And all right, here's the parasocial coming out from me. Like, leave John alone. He's like one of the least problematic YouTubers that I've seen in a while. And that might be parasocial with me. Maybe he does horrible things behind the scenes. I don't know. But I genuinely enjoy his content. And they're calling him popular idiot, obese to beast, also riding the Rachel train. Because he's been in this community for a long time. He's just talking about it. Julie says, this is why I'm watching Vintage Jimmy. Almost everything I was being offered was nonsense, so I thought I might as well opt in for intentionally silly. This person, Studio Deets, says, a 20-minute video could never actually cover what happened, which automatically means this is crap. These people are so mean. Damn. Jawbone says, I'm avoiding other people talking about Rachel at the moment. I feel too close to the case. Yeah, you're directly involved in this weirdo little Discord group. Julia says, what I will say is everyone is going to have a great Christmas thanks to Rachel. She best gets lots of Christmas cards. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I don't know. The energy in this group is just weird. I don't like it. All right, so that pretty much wraps up everything. Oh, it looks like people are saying that she lost 8,000 subscribers. That's like a small dent. I don't think she's really too hurt over that. All right, guys, so that just wraps up everything. TLDR, Emily's weird, Rachel's weird, Amberlynn is weird. They're all messy. Leave Beck alone. Leave the other reaction channels alone. Take a break. Apologize to your audience properly. Reflect on why they're upset and change it. And also just stop being a mean girl. Like, I don't know, it's just leave obese to beast alone. What did he do to any of you guys? And also Salty Crab. Leave Salty Crab alone, okay? These people are just out here doing their thing. They're giving their commentary. And you guys are just kind of taking a big poop on them. Oh, that reminds me. Don't touch the poop. Just don't do it, alright, guys? But yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it here. I am at 2 hours of recording before and after work. So I'm a little bit beat. Let me know what you guys think about Rachel's response. I think this entire thing has gone on for a little bit too long, but I'm sure by next week there's going to be some new type of drama. Someone's going to say something. Maybe Amberlynn gets another dog. I don't know. Amberlynn's always doing her weird shit on her live streams and saying stuff. Maybe there's going to be new Tammy tea, all that type of stuff, but I don't really think I want to get too much more involved in Gorl world unless there's something particularly interesting. But I'm going to be doing some focus on some other people like Cyrax. I want to see what he's been up to lately. A lot of people have been asking me to cover Shani for Christ, so maybe I can find some information about her. But all right, my throat hurts from talking so much. So I'm going to end this, edit this video, have it uploaded for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the watch. If you have made it this far, please subscribe to the video. I really appreciate it. I love you guys engaging with the community and just watching the channel grow. Take care of your pets. I hope you have a great day. I hope you are staying warm in this chilly weather. And yeah, you know, as I usually say and as I always say, I just hope you guys have a good one. All right, stay lovely.